right, the Zoning Board of Appeals will come to order July 26, 2018. First on the order of business is an adjournment for 3007. Is there a motion to adjourn that?
Well, first of all, you want to...
We don't have to.
It's not an adjournment according to... There was no jurisdiction and notice and mailing. However, I understand this gentleman's here to submit that, but then there is a letter from council that I believe was just retained asking for an adjournment otherwise. So if he wants to submit...
But in line, I guess. All right, there is an extension request for 2999.
I move we accept the extension request as submitted.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Pending decisions.
Well, Mr. Chairman, do you want to just do 3007, let him submit this, and then
Let him
adjourn it?
Okay. 3007, what is your business?
No,
You're handing this in?
We're just submitting the
Can you state your name?
mailing affidavit
Okay,
and posting affidavit.
okay. Why don't you just slap that in?
Slap that in. Record keeping.
Oh, there's another
You want to stamp it?
Thank you for your time.
There. Moving on to pending decisions, 2997 Beechwood Latch. Can I get a motion on the decision?
First of all, board members, if you recall, this is a matter where you're an involved agency in the seeker process. The planning board, as lead agent, adopted a required environmental impact statement and thereafter adopted a finding statement. And because you're an involved agency now making a decision, you must also adopt your own finding statement. You have a proposed seeker finding statement in front of you. You would need to adopt a resolution to accept that first.
Is there a motion to adopt the secret finding?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
Aye. All
Two
opposed?
nays. Nay. Aye.
Motion passes.
It's not to adopt the resolution.
No, it isn't, the motion for the secret. As regards the decision, is there a motion on that?
So moved. Second.
All in favor of the application 2997?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Motion passes. What about the next one? Council?
We don't have to do any.
My understanding, Bo Robinson is assisting, just wonder if they want a copy of the decision. In any case, Bo Robinson has been counsel to this board, and my understanding, he was putting a memo into the file indicating that, based on recent correspondence with counsel for the applicant, that there's going to be no further proceedings with respect to reopening or otherwise, and that this board will have to render a decision, and he hasn't completed that decision as of today, and asked that it be put over for decision at your next meeting.
So we need a motion on that?
You don't need a motion, you're just acknowledging that. For those who are in the audience.
(3002), 85 Down East. Is there a motion on that decision?
We have a decision from Chick.
We do.
You should have in the file.
I move we accept the decision as written.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 302.
That's it.
303? What's going on with that?
And there's no roll call vote on this wetland thing written there.
You can do a roll call if you
Well, we
want.
did the roll call, but there's no place to sign it, and
Oh, the signature page. Well, the building department will put it on there for you.
303 is going to get renoticed. What are we going to do with that?
amending cases.
That's what he said.
303.
He said it in the letter.
303.
Read the letter, because he said he must have it renoticed.
This is July 3rd.
Just in
Oh,
time.
here it is.
3,
I guess pick about 1323.
1323. What the heck is that?
That's what we're on.
3003.
Council's here on
What
this
about the
application.
address?
Oh, gotcha.
Bailey Larkin for the applicant. We were here last month presenting the initial application on this, and we had, it was determined that we needed pyramid relief as well. We had asked the building department to renotice us. Unfortunately, it didn't make the paper, so we're going to ask for an adjournment until next month to address the pyramid issue. We did submit revised materials for the board that addressed a couple of the comments that had been raised. Specifically, the roof deck was eliminated from the project, and even the interior staircase was eliminated. It's now accessible by a hatch. There was also a question about whether or not geothermal would be required for this project to meet the HERS rating, and we submitted a letter from the project engineer confirming that we won't need geothermal to meet the energy code ratings for this project. That was included in the package as well. And then we also addressed Mr. Voorhees' comments, so you should have in there, by letter dated July 17th, a revised site plan and landscape plans that address all those comments. Oh, there was one other thing that was addressed. I believe it was requested that the native grass that was proposed on the north side of the house be eliminated from the project, and so the revegetation plan that was submitted addresses that comment that was raised by the board as well. So it's now native plantings in that area, but not a native fescue lawn, which was submitted at the prior hearing. I don't know if there's any additional comments from the board on this application, or if we just have to wait till next month.
So in short, you're requesting an adjournment.
Yes, please.
A motion?
So before you do that, just if there's any members of the public who might
Oh,
be here to speak.
okay. So any members of the public like to address this application? Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned. $3,004, McClanahan, for the applicant.
Hi, Lisa Zaloga. I'm the architect for William and Laura McClanahan. Since this was supposed to be on last month, I thought there might have been some confusion as to whether you guys all had your packets. Do you all have all the information? Yes?
I do.
Okay.
You want to confirm what information we should have?
We have the plans of the garage, which I brought extras if anybody needs any.
One sheet?
One sheet. We have the survey of the property. There were also several letters in support. I have letters from the 2 adjoining neighbors on either side and a letter from the neighbor across the street. I'm not sure if you have all 3 of those.
I only have 2 in my package.
Right, the third one was the one across the street. We got that after I put in the application. I can submit a copy of it. Would everybody like one?
I'd like a copy of the survey in the garage. I don't see it in mine.
Okay.
I didn't look like it was in here, so it might have been out of the work section. I missed it.
No.
Yes, it was last month.
Suburban, Range Rover, where's the Ford go?
They now have 3 driving age children, so. Here's some copies of all 3 of the letters from the neighbors supporting the application. There's also, I took some color pictures that I can just submit up there for you. Four there.
Come here, or does that go down for everybody?
So this is a piece of property located at 131 Lee Avenue.
You want to say, extra. For the file.
You got it?
Yeah, search it in.
So this property is located in the R120 zoning district, but it's about only 53,000 square feet, so it's undersized for the zoning. You can tell by the survey it's also a long, narrow lot, and it fronts on Hetty Creek as well as Lee Avenue. My clients bought it already improved with the residence. And you can see that the residence is kind of a long, narrow house. It's tilted on the property. It leaves no good spot for the location of a garage, detached or attached. So our proposal, since this house sits back almost 170 feet from Lee Avenue, and if you look at, if you've seen any, been down there. There's one on the table. If you look at, Google aerial views, you can see that all the houses in the adjoining properties are located much closer to Lee Avenue. So this property is kind of set with where the house is located. We're proposing a 2-car garage, and we're proposing it at 70 feet off of Lee Avenue. Now, that would be the setback that would be required for an accessory structure for this size lot. However, in R120, an accessory structure would have to be 90 feet from the street. So we're proposing it for the lot size. So that's the reason that the variance is not only for an accessory structure in the front yard, but also relief from 90 feet to 70 feet. The design of the garage is such that it's only 12 feet tall. The neighboring, the hedges on the lot lines are about 12 feet on the south side and about 9 feet on the north side. And the arborvitae, if you all went down there, you could see that there's like 20-foot high arborvitae all along the street. So I really don't think that this will be visible from anywhere. All of the neighbors are in support. Any questions?
What's the proposed wall?
It's underneath the overhang. It's to kind of hide the kayaks and the bikes and things so that they're not.
So the roof actually overhangs that wall?
The roof overhangs it. It's not part of the building. It's just a freestanding wall, and the roof overhangs it, just to kind of hide.
That's what the setback is measured to, the roof overhang. Right?
Correct. Correct.
But that's going to be a catch-all for stuff.
Yes.
Why don't they put it on the other side? In other words, away from the street.
I mean, it was a solid wall, so I didn't really, it's not something that you're going to see through
Yeah,
anyway.
but usually when they have a wall and it's a catch-all, it sort of migrates
Migrate.
Yeah, in other words, the canoe sticks out one end, the bike
I don't know,
sticks
I
out
think
the
when they
other.
come in from their bike riding, they're gonna go the closest point and they'll just leave it against the edge of the garage. This we thought would kind of hide that stuff.
What would happen if they reversed the parking area and the garage? Would that give you the 90 feet? Is there any reason why they couldn't do that? Maybe there's a reason why they can't do it.
Well, I'm trying, you see these big trees here? I'm trying to maintain these big trees that are located on the survey, and you can see them in the picture. So if I slide it west anymore, I'm going to have to take down the trees. I was trying to maintain those large.
Well, I was thinking if you put it right where the parking area is. And then
I'd have to measure it out to see whether there was room there. If I flipped it, I mean, then I've got all the extra parking is closer to the street and going to be more visible to the street. I was kind of trying to
that's true.
push everything behind the garage from the street.
Lisa, where is the existing septic?
The existing septic is in the front, but it's not under the parking area. It's more towards the south. I mean, I wasn't doing anything with it, so I can locate that if you need to know.
I think it's just important to understand, that might help your argument, what you just expressed, is that if the septic is in the area of that proposed parking area, it's a lot different than putting a building over it.
Okay. I could find out.
But it seems like you could rework it at 90 feet and still do the parking, screen the parking, rather than screening a building.
Well, I wasn't necessarily trying to screen the building. I mean, I'm at 70 feet. You can see I'm still behind most of the other houses on the street, so I'm actually further than any of the, principal structures on Lee Avenue. So I figured at 70 feet I was still meeting the accessory setback from the street. Also trying not to kind of put the garage right on top of the house and give them a little bit of breathing space between them. The front of the house here it's all bedrooms. The living space is on the Hetty Creek side. So I was kind of trying not to throw the garage right on top of the...
I just look at it, if they park in the garage, it's a longer walk to the house. If that garage is closer to the house, it seems that they would use the garage more than a parking area, it just seems backwards.
I can talk to them about it. The door is actually down on the south side underneath that porch, so no matter what, you're walking along the side of the, you're walking the whole length of the house, so.
It just seems like there's plenty of room to do it at 90 feet. Why not just do it at 90 feet?
If I can get it, I don't know that I can get it 90 and still maintain that tree, but if I could get it a little further, like maybe 80, and do you really want the setback from the overhang and the wall, or do you want the setback from the garage itself?
Probably from the garage.
From the garage. So I mean, you figure it's already 75 feet then, because that 70 feet is showing to the wall, so it's already at 75 feet. I could probably push it another 5 feet and still maintain my parking and get to 80 feet off of the street.
I don't see why you would have to take down the trees. I don't think, they won't be in the way. They put the proposed garage approximately.
Well, you're not supposed to build you're not supposed to
Well, you'll be
dig underneath the
back.
canopy. You can see the canopy of this tree is relatively large, so I'm trying not to.
If you put it right where the parking area is now, where it shows on the survey.
Well, we don't know where the septic is.
Oh, yeah, parking area there, I don't know, that's true.
Could be electric line, gas lines and whatever, but you don't show that.
I don't. Like I said, I can find that out.
I mean, there's no good reason why you couldn't put it there, so it'd be nice if you could give us a reason,
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of that is A, the trees, and B, the separation from it and the house,
Yeah, but
because to put it right on top of
Because you
it.
put it there. If you slid it back, to the south a little bit, you wouldn't be under the canopy of the trees.
I wouldn't, but I'd be right smack dab in front of the master bedroom windows that would be looking out on us.
They're looking out at parked cars. So,
But cars are only this tall. I can find out where the septic system is, I can find out where the other stuff is. You can see where the water meter comes from the street, so it comes across there as well. I can certainly put that information on the
I
survey.
think you can make the side of a building more attractive than you can make the side of 4 parked cars.
Yeah, no, there's going to be hedge in front of it, but, again, that's only enough to hide the cars, not to have a wall, a
But
12-foot-high wall.
you don't show the hedges, or, I mean, it's just,
I can do that. There's actually, if you look at the pictures, you can see there's plantings in front of those windows, but I can put them on the survey.
Lisa, while you're considering alternatives, is there some reason why you couldn't reorient the garage in a north-south fashion and have your garage doors facing the parking area? Just seems also that you have garage doors facing the north, which often is not a good design, especially during the winter when the garages are supposed to use most often and the area on the north side always freezes up.
We actually did a couple of versions of this, and I did have one where we were facing it that way. It caused more problems with the parking, because then you have to be able to, that's where you also want to put the parking, so then to pull out and actually be able to get the cars in and out and have the K-turn, it ended up with more parking area. So we kind of abandoned that, and we went to this route so that the two were separate. Right now, they don't have a heck of a lot of parking, and like I said, they have 3 kids that are now driving, so there's been several accidents in the driveway.
How many bedrooms?
How many bedrooms? I wrote that down.
Off in the driveway.
6.
crinkle fender out
It's a
there.
rough
you know?
neighborhood.
It's right under the, that's Lauren Clanhan. She said the septic is right under the proposed parking. But I can show it on the survey if you'd like.
Yeah, I think it's necessary.
So if I can push it back to another 5 feet potentially and show you the septic in there, would that be something that you would think was agreeable?
Is that 5, is the wall going to?
The wall, so the
south
wall would
side?
be at 75 and the building would be at 80.
Could the wall go to the south side in that case?
Not if I'm pushing everything over, because I still need to get to the parking
You
area.
think the septic is where that parking is?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to put drive-on covers on that?
I'll put covers on that, if they're not already on it, yes.
Yeah, 5 feet to make them, I don't think it's worth making them move a septic system, you know?
Like I said, for this size lot, the 70 feet is what's required for an accessory structure. That's why I held that number. Because it's only a 53,000 square foot lot in R120, so it's undersized quite a bit.
So what I'm hearing is the board wants you to get that information.
Yep.
Have some explanation of how you considered the alternatives that were discussed tonight. And come back with that information at the next meeting.
Their electric service might run through there too, you know, so.
I'll find out.
Gas lines,
Yep,
fuel tanks, what's under the ground there.
I'll find out.
But, I mean, to me, that would be, to have to move all that stuff or put it there would be,
Yeah, no, I got it. I will.
Lisa, I know you gave us aerial photographs, but could you just determine if there's any other similar situated conditions where garages are in the front yard
Okay,
in the neighborhood? Evaluate that as well.
detached. Yes,
Or any other accessory structures, a similar situation.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, you need to open it to the public, though.
Is anybody from the audience interested in commenting on this application?
They all wrote letters of support.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn for all purposes? So moved. Second? In favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed? 3005 Meadow Club for the applicant.
Rob, I want to recuse myself.
Okay. In the future, if you hear about the new ethics law, you have to write that you're recusing, date it, sign it, and give a reason.
Okay.
The applicant Gilbert G. Flanagan, 21 South Main Street,
Two files.
Southampton.
Or one, yeah, 2 files
Okay.
for the applicant.
The applicant Gilbert G. Flanagan, 21 South Main Street, Southampton. This is an application for a wetland special permit only. No variances being required in order to enable the Meadow Club to replace 3 of 4 pre-existing concrete tennis courts with hard-truth type tennis courts and associated drainage control, including a rain garden, which would be designed to improve existing drainage and runoff conditions that exist at the site. Now, you'll note from the plans that I submitted that part of what this project includes is a rain garden, and you may remember from an application you heard not too long ago, only a couple of months ago, on Pond Lane, that a rain garden was a relevant and a very welcome thing in that particular project. I'll lay out a copy of the drawing. So you have it. I don't know if that's the right orientation or not, but if it isn't, I can switch it around. As you can see, there are currently 4 tennis courts in a location. The 3 that are located further to the east would be converted from just a straight concrete surface to a hard-truth surface. There's no increase in the footprint, no increase in the density, so no setback or other requirements would be involved. We would submit, as I pointed out in the application, that this project would, we believe, have a significant net environmental benefit, since it would contain and trap a considerable amount of the runoff that has traditionally been making its way into the wetlands adjacent to Cooper's Neck Pond. It's also been designed so as to be pitched so as not to allow quite as much runoff to pass into the pond. It's a fairly straightforward application. I believe it's anything, it's more technical than legal. And I do have Drew Bennett here, the architect who designed, the engineer who designed this project. Also Doug DeGroot, who was the tennis court contractor, and David Price, who was the assistant manager at the Meadow Club, if we have any particular questions or concerns. So I'd be happy to try to answer them or have Mr. Bennett hear what he has to say.
One, is there any reason why the rain garden is just 5 feet, and is that an effective distance? It seems like there's room where you...
I can ask Mr. Bennett to address that, since that's a design feature.
Good evening, Drew Bennett, consulting engineer, doing business at 3 Railroad Avenue in East Hampton. The rain garden was designed for, well, let me back up first. I think what's important is that there is no increase in impervious area for the project. The tennis courts are being resurfaced. They currently have no runoff controls. I have visited the site, and I did not observe any significant runoff problems from the tennis courts. They are currently pitched towards Cooper's Neck Pond. There aren't any gullies, erosion features. It's basically the concrete tennis courts and some lawn, and then it transitions into fragmites into the surface water bodies. As part of the resurfacing, the club would like to do a little bit better, and they approached me to come up with some ideas. The traditional approach of using dry wells was not practical because of the size of the area and the shallow depth of groundwater, so it would require 20 or so dry wells. There isn't the land area, and it's actually a relatively shallow depth of groundwater. So we came up with an alternative, which is a fairly contemporary idea and is consistent with the New York State's Stormwater Management Design Manual, and that is to control the first 1.5 inches of runoff from the tennis courts. And the rain garden that you see there now is essentially a vegetated swale filled with gravel at the bottom of it, and the length of it is proportional to the width of the tennis court, so anything that sheet falls off the tennis courts would go into this swale. The width of it was determined based on a combination of necessary storage, short-term storage, and infiltration of the runoff into the ground through the gravel. So we've run a series of calculations to demonstrate that that size is adequate. Hopefully that answers your question.
I guess, I have no
Yeah,
experience of how much water a 5-foot wide rain garden with gravel underneath it, you know.
yeah, so,
You say that's enough, but I mean, is there a calculation that you use?
yeah, there's a whole, we've gone through a series of calculations that looked at what the runoff was. We used this,
Maybe shit knows more about it.
Did you design it to 1.5 inches?
I designed it to the water quality design standard, which for this area is 1.5 inches runoff, yes. And I can provide those calculations if we don't already have them. Yeah, there's a set of calculations on the plan itself, and,
SK1.
yeah, and we use a series of computer simulations to generate the runoff, both volume as well as flow rate, and also use a series of calculations to estimate the amount of storage and infiltration into the soils. So there's a combination of things that go on at once.
I'm trying to, what does the test hole show?
Test hole shows it's 2.5, let's see.
What's it draining? Is it a clay? Is it, you know?
So you'll over excavate down to a depth of about 3 feet, and it's a combination of, you'll remove the silt material, there's a small layer of bog, and at the water table, according to the test hole, there's sandy silt, which is,
Do you dig through the bog for this?
you'll over excavate the unsaturated material, you'll take out the bog, backfill with sand and gravel, basically. And then the top of it gets planted.
The bog would work like clay. It would be a...
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Drew, I'm not an engineer or
Yes,
whatever,
Mr.
but
Brewer.
I'm just asking the plans. First of all, the plan, there's what, 4 tennis courts there now? Mm-hmm. But you're only replacing 3 of them? And one's going to remain?
Yeah, that's correct. And, if necessary, I can
So
have David Price
the
speak to that.
westerly most is not being touched?
Correct.
And is there any increase in the height or fill or anything else going underneath?
Of the tennis courts themselves. I'm not directly involved with that.
Other than the resurfacing?
Not substantial, it's a matter of a couple inches, I believe.
And then the only other question is there's 2 sets of plans, and it just seems to, and this goes to what Mr. Gozowitz was pointing out. On SK1, it indicates the rain garden is approximately 5 feet wide, and then on the plans prepared by Vincent Gaudiello, it seemed to show an area of proposed rain garden referring to your plans, but at a much larger scale. So I'm just wondering, make sure we're consistent.
Okay, I haven't seen Mr. Gaudiello's plan, so just give me a second.
He's showing a much wider.
This one.
That sort of goes to where Mr. Gozowitz was pointing out that 5 feet is the number, or is it wider or smaller? Or we just want to make sure we're looking at the same thing.
Okay, here's the thing.
I'd have to touch base with Mr. Gaudiello. I see he doesn't actually reference the date of the plans, and try to clarify that with him. I'm confident that my plan is based on the calculations I performed.
No, I understand that.
It appears to be a communication situation.
So I think we just want to make sure the plans are consistent.
What's a beehive rim? It looks like it's a pipe that's sunk down through almost the groundwater.
Yeah, so...
And there's a number of those? How many?
So the beehive, well, the purpose of it is sometimes rain gardens get particularly after a very heavy rain, sometimes can get like a silt cake on them, which reduces the infiltrations. The idea is that if water ever begins to build up, that it can bypass the
Silt.
soil bottom and be able to infiltrate directly.
How many of those are there?
Let's see here. Appears to be one.
That enough?
Again, I'll point out that there are, and I'm not There are no drainage controls right now. There's no increase in imperviousness. We are going to try to do best available technology. The rain garden is in an area that can be easily maintained. We anticipate mowing it once or twice if we need to disc it to break up the silt, that kind of thing. So the short answer is yes, in my opinion, that this beehive overflow drain is more than adequate as long as we maintain the rain garden.
Rain garden's pitched to one north or south?
No, it's basically level, and the grade there currently is pretty level.
So if it does fill up, it'll eventually make it to the beehive?
Correct. Yeah.
Dick, are you familiar with those beehive?
Yeah, it's really, I think,
They're
if I'm
drained,
reading
right?
it correctly, maybe Drew can clarify. I think it's just the structure on top to prevent that from clogging up. It almost looks like a grate.
Yes, as I
So
mentioned.
beehive is more of a descriptive term for.
But it says it has a perforated infiltration pipe, so the beehive sits on top of the infiltration pipe, which then goes down through the bog, and so if that does get silted up and flooded, it has one pipe for all the water to go down, and I just wanted to
Right,
make
yeah,
sure
that-
that was, for 125
So-
feet, is that enough, you
So
know?
I stand corrected. There is a note on the plans that says minimum 3 feet deep, 10 feet on center.
Oh, so there'll be like
Stand
10 of
corrected.
them.
Multiple. Right.
So right now, these are asphalt courts?
The tennis courts are,
Concrete,
yes.
concrete.
Concrete.
So when you move from asphalt to the hard-true, can you just take us through a little bit what's in the hard-true? What's the composition of hard-true?
I am not able to answer that. That's not my area of expertise, but
We have Doug DeGroot, the contractor here. He can certainly answer that question.
Douglas DeGroot from Hampton's Tennis Company. My office is at 411 Hampton Road in Southampton. We've actually done a lot of conversions from all-weather, which is what's there existing, to hard-true. Some of the great things are, in hard-true, the runoff coefficient is less than asphalt or concrete, which is good. A certain amount of the water will soak through the court. And hard-true is actually a trade name, but it's really referring to fast-drying material. The fast-drying material is actually very finely crushed green stone. It's igneous metabasalt. It's actually what you see on asphalt shingle roofs, the little tiny rocks that are stuck to the asphalt shingles. That's where hard-true came from. It's a waste product from the roofing industry. So it's a stone product, typically 1 inch thick, and below that we have crushed bluestone. In a different place you might not use bluestone, but bluestone is something we can readily get. It comes from Westchester in Connecticut, and that would typically be minimum 2 inches, maybe as much as 3 inches, and then below that we would have a larger crushed stone. And so when we're going from Portland cement concrete courts, which is what we have now, we're basically going to leave those courts in place because, this is a very kind of boggy area. And so that's a really nice thing to build on top of. So at the club end, away from Cooper's Neck, we're probably going to be increasing the court by approximately, I'm going to say 4 to 6 inches. As we go across, because our slope is less, we have 1 inch and 30 feet of slope, and these courts right now are 1 inch and 10 feet. So whatever this distance is, say if it's 200 feet right now, it actually has a big pitch. We're going to actually reduce the pitch. You have to have that for hard-true because since hard-true is just a ground-up stone product, the angle of repose says that it has to be flatter or it will actually wash down. It would just wash down all the way. So, but building it up is actually a nice thing because it makes the rainwater slow down. And the drainage coefficient for hard-true is the same as grass. It's 0.7. When you have an impervious surface like that, the runoff coefficient is 1, as in 100% runs off. For the hard-true, it'll only be 70%. So it actually reduces the amount of water that's going to eventually get to the rain garden, which is another positive. So that's how we basically build it.
Does Hartrue have any similarities to athletic turf that's used now, surfaces, football fields?
No. The athletic turf, like if you're talking about artificial turf, that we've actually done some conversions where people have put artificial turf on top of Hartrue, and then they'll sweep sand into the artificial turf so the blades of grass stand up. And that's actually a conversion that allows you to avoid the high maintenance of Hartrue. Like Hartrue basically is not going to be playable in the dead of the winter. It's going to be prepped every spring. We're going to roll it, nail the lines into place, and then water it. It's got to be watered. So, people do artificial turf because it's super low maintenance. You don't have to water it. You don't have to cut it.
It's also very harmful to humans and the environment. Some people argue.
Especially if you put the big concern about artificial turf is, the biggest concern is actually, if you swept sand in it, it wouldn't be as big a concern, but when you're using the rubber particles, that's what most people object to, is what is the composition of the rubber particles.
Jake, my concern, and I just, in the composition of the Hartrue, if there was any possibility that you're introducing contaminants, on top of the asphalt, which contaminants ultimately leach into the, it may not be. It sounds like it's all natural stone materials.
All stone. It's greenstone, and the greenstone, which is coming from Virginia, is actually, how we all see bluestone terraces around here? The greenstone in its natural state is actually a harder stone than the bluestone that we have here locally. But it's crushed greenstone, very fine, crushed bluestone, less fine, and then crushed bluestone that's maybe 3/4 inch particulate with no fines in it. So there's no chemicals at all. That we don't have any adhesion binders or anything like that. It's all just different layers of crushed stone.
Anybody on the board have anything else to add?
Good. No.
Anybody from the audience like to contribute? Yes, sir.
I'm Rob Coburn. I'm at 345 Hill Street. Just one question. I know some clay-type courts require, not for construction, but maintenance, calcium chloride or things like that to be put on to increase moisture retention. Will there be maintenance products used on this?
No.
Thank you.
Rob, we took a look at the plans, and some of the comments that were made already was part of our review. But I am kind of curious, if you're saying that 30% of the stormwater infiltrates through the Hartrue surface, what's happening underneath that where you have concrete now? Is there some provision to capture that?
You'd almost say that subsurface water. It could go, like you can imagine if you let the water drain through whatever filtering system there was and it hit this Portland cement concrete slab, it will follow the slab out. I'm not in charge of the drainage, but you basically could capture it. Like this line right here, which indicates these are the 3 Hartrue courts, and this is going to be the all-weather court. There will be a step here.
It's got to be because you're raising it.
Of course, yeah. So this is flatter. So there is a step there, which would be masonry. And so certainly, one thing, actually, I do know this. It's just this project has been lagging for a long time. Now that I'm starting to remember what I bid on. I actually have a channel drain going across here at the upper height. So when I have runoff coming off there, and that is going to, there are some existing dry wells on this property.
We had thought so as well, and that was one of our comments, but I didn't see any detail on that.
Yeah, I have actually...
Lateral drain. Because I would think that step kind of creates a dam almost.
Yes.
And so you will have to make some provision.
Well, we also, the reason we want the channel drain at the Hartrue height, kind of the clay courts, although they're not clay courts, they're fast strike courts, is we never want that dirt to get on the existing asphalt court because it would create a slippery condition. So we have a channel drain there that's going to capture water coming off, and then it would actually capture Hartrue too. So every now and then we clean that out.
So, Mr. Voorhees, on the Rayner plan?
Yes.
They do show a trench drain.
Which sheet?
This is sheet C2, dated,
Oh, I see, 8 inch.
10/26. Yeah, so they do show a trench drain that's
Yeah.
routed to the rain garden.
Yeah, 15 to 20 mile. Yeah, they even call it out as Hubble Polycast 800 or equal.
So whether it's sheet flow from the playing surface or seepage that gets through to the stone layer, both would be covered.
So that's picking it up horizontally, any sheet runoff, as well as vertically, as it hits the concrete, it's going
Yeah.
to basically pick all that up?
And this is something we pretty much have on every court that we do. We have the courts, you're typically always trying to slope a court the fastest way off. But instead of having 4 area drains and trying to manipulate the grades to go down to them, everything is planar. And so this is all a level area. And so we'll have that channel drain pretty much in every court we've built.
I did take a look at the site, and I just, I know the question may come up, but a number of years ago, there were some modifications of the bins in the back, and this board issued a permit at that time. And there were some areas of dumping and things. Everything has been cleaned, to my knowledge, since that original permit. It probably goes back about 10 years. So you do have the earth drive. There's a little bit of a strip, and then you've got Phragmites, which is essentially the wetlands. I did note that the wetlands line dates back to about 2005, and it's probably a good idea to update that. And then I did prepare a memo. We had our office take a look at the soils. You had asked the question before about the test hole, nature of the soils, depth of groundwater, some of the proposed modifications to the soils, the size of the rain garden, which we were coming up with different calculations. It looked like on one plan it was undersized. So we would ask that those calculations be checked, that the soils be checked, because a rain garden really, the design is to infiltrate. It's not supposed to pond water, it's supposed to infiltrate. Otherwise, it might be some other design. So that needs to be looked at in our opinion. I think I saw on the plan a proposed turf grass planting in addition to other native species, such as smartweed and switchgrass and soft rush. So I wasn't really clear on the turf grass, but we would like to limit that and go more in favor of native plantings. And then there were some consistency between the plans issues that we pointed out, as well as the ones that you mentioned tonight. So I have copies of that memo that I can leave with the applicant and distribute to the board if that's helpful. I thought that overall, concept is good. The idea of picking up more drainage and putting it into a rain garden, they're very effective in infiltrating, providing surface detention, biological uptake, and it was noted that there is no such control at this time, or at least none that we found or is on the plans. So I hope that's helpful, and we can certainly make our office available. As you said before, it's more technical, so if there are any questions in reviewing the memo or going through any modifications, we'd be happy to make ourselves available. Is it okay if I distribute that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Pass it down. Not sure if there's enough for everybody, but you get the idea.
So
I assume we would adjourn this for all purposes to give us a chance to provide the information and be back before the next work session.
Is there a motion?
Any
to
members of
adjourn?
the public, did we open it to the public?
I did.
Did
Okay,
before you-
never mind.
Oh, that's when the gentleman came up and asked.
That's
True.
right. Is there a motion to adjourn for all purposes?
Also moved.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Application 3006, 340 Hill Street.
What number is this? 3006?
6.
Thank you.
For the applicant?
I'm Carol Welch. It's my house. Unfortunately, I had company and I ran out and I don't have my survey, but you guys, I think, all have a survey. I'm probably pretty simple compared to what I just heard, but I purchased this property about 11 years ago, and it was an 1890 old farmhouse, which I redid exactly the same footprint that was there, and at the time, I put a carport which was in compliance with the setbacks and everything. Over the 10 years, my kids are big, and they have wives, and they have kids, and all of a sudden, we're starting to accumulate lots of things. So I'm proposing to put up a garage on the side of the house. I've looked into putting it on the other side, but I'd be even closer to the property line. I can't go back because my septic is right next to that screened-in porch that's in the back of the house. So my only option for a single-car garage is to put it where it is on the east side of the property. I'm proposing a second floor on the garage because right now, when I purchased the house, it was 5 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. I reduced it down to 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, but although one is for the master bedroom. I now have 6+ people when the house is full using 1 bathroom, which gets a little crazy. So I was hoping to put another bathroom over the garage, which would then become the master bath, and the master bath would be used for, I'd have 2 bathrooms for the 4 bedrooms. And that's pretty much it, except for the fact that I am over the setback requirement that has now changed since I originally did this. And because of the second floor, I'm over that portion that I'm over the setback. I fall into the pyramid law.
And you're adding to the pyramid.
Yes.
How far is the carport off the property line?
Right now, it's 12 feet off the property line, because when I did it, it was 12 feet.
So when you do the garage, you're going to lose about 2 feet, 2.5 feet?
Yes. It'll be further, well, it's closer to the property line because of the angle of the house. I'll be closer in the back than I am in the front.
You're going to take down the carport?
I'm taking down the
The
carport.
garage
yes.
basically is going where the carport
Yes,
is, but
but-
2.5 feet closer to the line?
Yes, because it's not, because of the angle of the house, I need a minimum of 15 feet for the garage.
And above the garage, or just Just a bathroom, that's all?
It's going to be a bathroom and 2
yeah, I
closets,
saw that.
because I don't have any central storage closet in the house. Right now, the only storage I have,
It's an older house, I didn't have
Yes.
closets in those stations.
when I bought the house, my windows on the second floor were on the floor because of the pitch of the roof.
Right.
Is there a drawing that demonstrates where the pyramid exists? Is this?
The angle of the pyramid relief, so we know.
Is it C3?
It doesn't actually show, but he calculated the portion that would fall into it, the cubic feet of it, but no, it doesn't actually show. Hold on, am I at the right?
Yeah, usually from an elevation, they'll probably project the line through the house showing the...
Turn it around? Okay, I have a spatial problem, so that's... No, he did not calculate that. He does not show that, other than just the way it looks. He did not calculate it, other than they asked for him to do the cubic feet that would fall into the pyramid law.
Is it additional feet or,
I think it's on the application. I think it's like 863 cubic feet that's going to fall into that portion of the pyramid wall.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that we would like a drawing demonstrating the existing pyramid issue and the proposed pyramid issue.
That should be prepared by your architect and stamped and sealed.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, eventually, I didn't have these sealed. I mean, I'm going to have them engineered, but I didn't do it now because I didn't know, if I was going to be able to do this.
We understand, and for us to ascertain what amount of relief you need, we need him to do that and certify that amount, which is what the board members are asking. And while we're doing that, there's a couple things on his plans. First of all, Southampton has only one H. Just a little thing.
This is my Connecticut
plan.
architect.
I know, and it's throughout his plans, so it would be helpful if he recognizes that. But I think a lot of his data doesn't apply to this property. At one point, his zoning data.
Yes, I saw that also.
Correct. He's telling you that you have 3.24 acres.
I don't know where that came from when he did it, and I didn't have him read the front page.
While you need to go back and have him specifically do the pyramid drawings that we normally require, which shows what's already encroaching into the pyramid.
Well, nothing is encroaching.
Okay, well, the existing condition, and then the proposed condition as to how much will encroach with the cubic footage. The other thing is the calculations he has that were sort of pasted onto this plan.
I did that, yes.
Okay.
He didn't have that on there.
Yeah, and it's actually not your floor area that he calculated there. That seems to be lot coverage, which is important. We need that information, but also we need your gross floor area calculations.
Oh, it's on that piece, it's 3,709.
It says that, but I'm not sure if what's existing, what's proposed, and how much is within the pyramid area, pyramid encroachment area.
Okay,
Just isn't clearly presented.
okay.
Also, I didn't see in the plans the proposed second floor. I don't know if maybe I just missed the
Oh, no, it's there.
second floor. No, I see that. I mean, a floor plan for the second
Yeah.
floor.
There, I
Yeah.
think.
I have second floor existing conditions.
No, it's the second floor is there.
Keep going, and we'll have the floor plan for the-
C7,
C7?
is that the second floor? The roof,
It's C6.
C6?
Yeah, he was a little aggressive on the bathroom, and I was
C6 is
playing
the
with
first
that.
floor.
No,
C6 says proposed first floor.
So what I saw,
Oh, okay, that's wrong. This is the second floor.
You got two proposed
Yeah, that would be
first
the
floors.
second floor, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay,
the
so that was,
second floor.
right, you're-
It shows the bathroom.
okay, but obviously, the bedrooms are upstairs, so it's just
Yes.
labeled wrong.
Yeah, it
On the
is.
bottom there, on the title side, it's indicated second floor.
And you have how many baths on this existing second floor?
I have two.
Right. And
One for the
down.
master and one down off the kitchen that was there.
Okay.
how many bedrooms is this going to be you have now, and how many will...
No, it's only 4 bedrooms.
But you're adding another one?
No,
So you're eliminating a bedroom and adding?
no, I'm not eliminating a bedroom. I'm going to add, the master is right next to where the garage is going to be. If I
So
do
you're
the second floor.
expanding the master.
I'm going to put in 2 closets and a bathroom, and then my bathroom, the master bathroom now will be used by the other 3 bedrooms.
So it's a garage with a master bath and closets above.
And what that'll do is the closet now that belongs to the master bedroom, if I ever sell the house or whatever, it'll become a storage closet since I have no storage closet in the house.
The bathroom is upstairs.
Where's the septic system now?
The septic system is, if you look at the survey, the septic system is right next to the screened-in porch in the back, which would be right behind the garage.
Is that been upgraded, or is that just the
Oh,
one?
no, that was redone. Because the house was so old, there was no record, so everything was redone 10 years ago.
This is where it's going to be, but I don't even see it. Do you see the master bath anywhere written?
Yeah,
This is existing.
C6 is the proposed.
C6. There you go. C6.
Yeah, I'm not sure it shows that there's going to be a bathroom.
yeah, it says master bath.
Shower? Oh, this whole thing is a master bath. Everything over the garage is a master bath.
And a closet.
Yeah.
Yeah, he showed it. The architects love to draw on that stuff, and it's like, I kind of went over with tracing paper so I could draw it in the way that it should have been. But I can't get him to wipe out what he puts in there. Kind of have a mind of their own.
This is the first floor.
Yeah, it's mislabeled. It says first
Yeah, it
floor,
says
but
first floor, it's the second floor.
Change that if you want the second.
Can you change that, please?
You just mislabeled it.
All righty.
It looks like what we have, the total width that you're adding is 5 feet, 6'9",
It's 15 feet by 24 feet long.
15 feet.
Which is a standard single-car garage.
The only reason you needed a variance for the pyramid law is because the overhang of the second floor?
It's a little bit more than the overhang. There is a portion of it that's of the actual living space that falls into there.
But the existing conditions is a violation of sorts of the pyramid.
No,
not at
I
all?
am not in violation of anything.
Your current setback is what, 24 and a half feet, right?
What's the side yard setback in that zone?
It's 15 feet.
And so
And
they
when
want to go
I-
to 9'6", is that what?
No, but when I built the house 10 years ago, it was 12 feet, was the setback.
He's only asking another
3.5.
2.5 feet.
2.5, 3 feet.
Side yard's now based on 4/10.
So,
You
anything
use the
else?
4/10 here?
It's because it's a lot of 23,000 square feet, and you're required to use the 4/10, I understand, according to 116.11.1. So you need a little calculations as to what your required side yard is and what you're asking for as a reduction to add the garage, in addition to whatever the proposed pyramid relief. So we can ascertain exactly what you're asking for.
Okay,
Do you understand all that we're asking?
I do.
Anything else on the board at this time? Anybody from the audience? Come on up. Introduce yourself.
Anthony Guglielmo. I'm the owner of the house to the east, 330 Hill Street. I'm not in favor of the proposed extension or that's going up, and I have photographs here and survey we'd like you to review, and I also have a letter from a neighbor in the neighborhood who'd like it read into the minutes. That was handed to me.
The letter is not from you?
Pardon me?
The letter is not from you?
No, it's from somebody in the neighborhood. I was in the house when it was handed to me.
Dear board members, I'm writing to express my strong objection to the current proposal for 2 waivers of the Southampton Village Zoning Code 340 Hill Street, which is located across the street from my home. I have no opposition to changes on the property in general, and I'm grateful for both my neighbor's careful maintenance of the property and desire to improve it. However, the changes and related variants currently proposed should be rejected for several reasons. Current lot shape and building placement are already problematic. The lot line angles toward the existing home as it runs south, creating a pinched look that is not typical for Hill Street or in fact most of Southampton Village. In addition, sitting only 9.5 feet off that lot line, violating the village's pyramid law, would exacerbate this already atypical view. Current driveway is only a few feet from the eastern lot line with significant area covered by asphalt, very minimal planting along the property line. Again, these conditions create a look that is not typical for Hill Street, where most driveways are further from the lot line, gravel-covered, and more fully landscaped. The large area covered by asphalt, parentheses, the driveway and attached parking court, close parentheses, is very visible from the street and conveys a non-residential feel. Another look that is not typical for this neighborhood of the village. Once more, adding any structure, particularly one so close to the lot line and so tall, would exacerbate this. The lot is quite deep. This should allow for many possible additions at the rear of the house that would solve the owner's needs and desires. I have spoken with other neighbors who share these concerns. Your board has consistently and correctly denied variance whenever there are available and reasonable solutions that can meet an owner's desires without a variance or via a less obtrusive one. I ask that you deny the requested variances and encourage the owner to seek a solution within the village code, possibly focusing on the rear of the current structure. Thank you for your attention to these concerns, and I really cannot read the signature. Oh, Averett Buttry, 345 Hill.
The driveway is not all asphalt. There's some inlays in the parking area. I thought that was rather attractive.
Yeah, and the reason why I have that in front of the house, I have kind of a little bit of a parking pad, is because I had children and I didn't want anybody backing out of my driveway, going backwards. So they pull in and then they can turn around and pull out.
The angle of the house, that's not your doing. That's the way it was.
I didn't change the
You can't take
footprint.
that house and...
When was the house originally built?
1890. I have the original foundation.
You haven't, since 1890, you haven't moved the location of the house?
Nope, I haven't changed the footprint. I haven't changed anything.
I think this gentleman has...
Yes. I'd like to hand these out to the members, please.
May I have one?
I'll have one for you. But you can look at this.
All one? Oh. Pass these along. I think the applicant would like one. You have another one, do you?
Well, she could look at these right here. She could look at these right here.
You have one right in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the applicant would like one.
I didn't bring an extra. I only brought 6.
Oh.
Here, next.
Well, I can look on with somebody else. Look on with you, right?
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh, all right, very good.
Thanks. I'll give this back to you.
What am I looking at?
Well, this is an ad.
No, if you go to the center, I'm sorry. Go to the center page, please. Should have pointed out. In the center page, you'll find a packet of photographs.
This is the
I see.
carport that's there now.
Carport's to the top of the page.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a-
Why do we have an ad here for
And
this?
here it is, how it affects this, you know.
This has a nice
For
picture.
the center page, yeah, it has a picture of the house, an aerial view of the house and the neighbor's house.
And that, is that
Well, this is
you?
your house.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, yes, that's my house. And to the, that's an aerial view, but I have photos that I took, and you'll see the photos taken just the last couple of days, and you will see how close you see the views right now without giving her a variance. And with the proposal that she's proposing, it certainly would fit in the character of the neighborhood.
Well, she would be like 9.5 feet off the line. How far is your house off the westerly line?
My house is the code, so
Well, how far is the code? That's like 15 feet?
I think we're 20 feet.
And your house doesn't have a pyramid problem.
No pyramid problem. It meets all code, and that was just recently built 2 years ago.
But you have a larger lot than she has?
I think it's a smaller lot.
No, it's not. It's larger than mine is.
You have a,
From
you
the
have a
picture, it looks
carport there
larger. I
now?
don't know. You
Yes.
have to
You
tell me
park
the
the car
dimensions.
under that carport,
Yes, I do.
but you're making the addition wider than the carport that's
The
there.
carport sits on 2 columns, and basically that makes it, I mean, when I pull my car in, I'm just a few inches from the base of the column that we did kind of decoratively. It's a little bit too narrow. I need a couple of more feet because of the angle to be able to pull in slightly straighter than I pull in now. I have to kind of pull it in an angle and back out at an angle because of the way, as he said, the house is
You don't
angled.
scrape up alongside your house.
Yes.
You made the garage 12 feet wide. You'd be at the same distance you are now.
But it's not quite wide enough for me to
12 feet?
at 12 feet because of the way, the angle that I'm at. And I also have stairs, which will become interior
The
stairs
that
into
go into the side door there?
where the side door is.
She has the whole wall of the house there, you know, so
Yeah.
if it was 12 feet out in the back, it wouldn't be a problem, but up against the house. it might
And then
be.
my chimney is right there in front of there.
At the kind of page there, you'll see a survey, the one that's colored in green. And I was at the village building department yesterday, and she certainly can go to the west and not require any variance, as you can see on the survey.
How would that affect the access going into the house?
No problem at all.
I couldn't get into the
On that
house.
side of the house?
I couldn't get in from over there because my kitchen is right there.
She'd have to move the kitchen.
Well, she's basically building a house, 900 square feet, I think she said, or 800? I think she said 800 total square feet is the,
It's 15 by 24
and going up a floor.
and going up a floor.
How much is the total square footage?
It's 836 or something.
800, that could be a 2-bedroom house.
That's the
Anyway, the
size.
point is, if she's renovating,
Not any bedrooms.
No, it's the size of a
Closets
garage.
and a bathroom.
well, the point is, I'm opposing the variance that she's looking for. As
We
a result-
understand that.
And 2, I think she said the garage is a kitchen over the, a bathroom over the garage, is that what I heard?
That's what's going to be a bathroom and 2 closets.
Well, that's considered living space, I think, a bathroom.
Yeah, of course it
And I
is.
think I don't think that's the code, living space over a garage. At least with the town, it's not It's
Can't
not,
put living space.
If it's
below
attached to the
garage.
house, you can.
Attached to the house.
It's part of the house.
You can do that in the town and the village.
Yeah.
is it? Okay, because I know I had a problem one time with the living space over at garage.
Do it in a detached garage, you certainly can't have living space.
Have you looked at other scenarios?
I have, and one of my concerns is that, and I'm still concerned about putting a garage in because I don't want to limit my access to the backyard in the event I ever had a problem and I had to get a piece of equipment back there. So I want to, I do have the space on the other side. I would do some damage, because there's a lot of trees and things there, but again, I need to make sure, I see a lot of houses that go up, they build a pool and then they build a house and you have no access to your backyard. I don't want to create that problem.
I'd like to point out, there's no screening on the plans at all.
I would like to say something. First of all, this man is the builder of the house next to me. He does not live in that house. The other thing is, he says that I have no screening. I have a fence that goes the entire length of my property and his property, which was there before his house was ever built.
Well, we'll show the screening here. We have a fence right here, as you can see.
It has a fence.
We're talking about screening for the second floor that she wants to build.
But I don't have it yet, though.
Kind of hard to...
How high would you have to have your screening for the second floor? I mean, so you're looking at the second floor now.
It looks like you planted screening. You
I
got a whole row
have
of,
screenings planted on my side, yes.
Yeah, so there is screening, fence, and then you have screening.
She's got a fence and he's got screening.
So you're thinking double screening, your side and her side.
Of course.
And when did you plant those trees?
Those trees are planted when we were building the house, which is within the last year and a half.
They will grow. Are they Leland cypress or whatever?
No Leland cypress. But I suggest that if she is going to, she should have Leland cypress.
I can't plant anything.
Sure, if she has a room.
Yeah, well, then
I
therefore,
only have 12
I don't think
inches of
the variance should be approved. She doesn't have the room.
Is the space that's currently driveway here located next to where your proposed garage? Since you don't need to get in that, what is that space, what would that be used for? This portion of the pavement here, if this is your door?
Yes, my door is...
So what would be the purpose of all that space there, at asphalt?
The asphalt here, you can park a car next to the carport right now.
Correct, but once you put the garage in, because it's wider, that becomes much narrower.
You're right, I won't be able to park a
So
car there.
what's your plan for that space there?
Well, right now, you see that line, this line right here? When we originally built the house, that's dirt there, and I have hostas planted all along the fence.
This is showing a curb.
Yeah, there is a curb there, there's Belgian block there.
And asphalt now, but what I'm asking is, once you build the garage, what are you going to do with the asphalt that's in that portion here up to the front of the garage?
I hadn't actually even thought about it right now.
Would that be removed and be able
How
to
you
be
get to the
planted?
backyard, too.
That is how you get to the backyard, and
Gate
that's
there
how the
goes to the
guys
rear yard.
bring the mowers, that's where my gates are to
It's gonna-
access my yard.
It's going to get dug up if you do the addition anyway, because it's that foundation work, they're going to, so
They're going to probably dig
eliminate
it up.
that.
A portion of that could be used for planting and sidewalk.
I don't want to, my gate is there to go into the yard, and I don't want to stop the landscapers from being able to get in that way, because that's usually the way they access it.
But I think you need to look at that as well, see what you're going to do with that space.
But they could access from the other side of the yard, too.
They could go in that side, but they usually pull in and they go straight in. But yes, but that is right now presently where my gate is. I have a double gate so they can drive the mower in. They can't drive the mower into the other side of the house.
But if we were to entertain this and said, we'd rather see screening there, you could eliminate that and put screening there.
Yeah, I probably could.
Something to think about, anyway.
If the garage were on exactly where it is depth-wise, but on the westerly side of the house, would that work?
I don't have any access into the house from there, because the back of the house is my kitchen. This is a long, narrow house, and the front of my house is the staircase goes up along the front. So in other words, as soon as you walk into the front door on the west side, that staircase all the way up, so I don't...
Destroy the kitchen.
It's either that or my kitchen, or I'd have to walk into right into where I have like a little small dining room and living room.
Sir, do you have anything further to add?
No, just that, again, my objection, that is, I oppose it. You can't meet the code requirements, therefore I think it should be denied.
Well, if people had to meet the code requirements all the time, they could fire the 5 of us.
It's true.
They wouldn't need us.
If it was a need thing, I don't think it's a need thing, a garage.
You have a 2-car garage.
Yeah, but he's conforming. So.
He is conforming.
Yes, I'm conforming.
Yes, he is.
Mr. Chairman, is there anybody else who wants to speak?
Anybody else in the audience want to speak on this application? Okay, so you know what work you have to do.
I do.
So can we have a motion?
I'm going to get that back to you.
So moved to adjourn for all purposes.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye. So you sort of know what you need to do to go back to your architect?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
It would be helpful if you also do some analysis of the character of the area.
Accuse themselves of
Some analysis of the
All
character of the area.
Back. He maybe got lost.
Similar situations where they can...
right, this concludes the meeting for July 26th of the zoning board.
Streetscape, just to show it.
Yes.